Ho 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 ho's, I'm wondering, are you lonely? Did the holiday season get you down? Let's talk about the Gen Z loneliness epidemic again, but this time let's make it festive. The holidays, the alleged happiest and most cheerful time of the year, where everyone just feels so generous, giving, and close with their family and loved ones. Well, at least on paper, because as we're going to talk about in this video, the winter holiday season and also generally holidays have slowly and surely lost their luster and the childlike magic that we once used to see these holidays as. And there are plenty of reasons as to why that may be and why people have been feeling this way, and we're going to touch on some of them in this video. But general sentiments that I've been seeing online and some of the sentiments that actually inspired this video are that the holidays, holiday season, and just general community-based celebration events have become less so hallmarks of family and friendship and have become more so the reminders of loneliness and isolation that a lot of Gen Z have been facing over the years.
Just a reminder, the holidays do not need to be your favorite time of the year, and if you find them kind of lonely, that's okay too. I don't come from a really big family, so when everyone goes home for the holidays, I don't. It's a Saturday night and I'm at home alone eating a pizza. All of my friends are gone. They're all home with their families. Everyone I follow right now is either at a party with their family, some people are on vacations with their family, doing Christmas Eves or early Christmas dinners. And you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm very grateful for everything that I have in my life. I have a roof over my head, a couch to watch TV on. If you're feeling a little down the dumps, if you're feeling lonely, just know you're not alone. I'm right here. Cheers, bestie.
And while yes, some of this holiday loneliness can be attributed to people's relationships with their families, I think that there also is a deeper and honestly more widely interesting take/perspective on the issue. And that is the general lack of community building that we as Gen Z have been struggling to really get a mastery of, as well as us living in this sort of transitionary state of going from teenager to young adult to fully fledged adult. And seeing these dynamics, both familial and then also just socially, evolve and change as we get older. And I'd go as far to say that in some cases, we do need to remember that if the holidays, festive celebrations, and general traditions are something that are important to you, we're gonna have to become more comfortable with making these things ourselves. Because yes, as scary as it is, we are becoming the new adults. I actually saw a tweet talking about this last year that I think definitely still applies, where one Twitter user said, "I need everybody to understand that the holidays don't feel the same anymore because we are literally the new adults who are supposed to be transitioning into hosting parties, gatherings, creating magic for the kids, etc. What's not clicking?" And I think that that's really a great start to this conversation. When we talk about loneliness and just general disillusionment, when it comes to winter holiday seasons like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, or holidays throughout the year like Memorial Day, 4th of July, and other yearly events that are typically associated with gatherings, parties, and community building. And as we're going to get into in this video, I think that we have a lot to learn in terms of what that means to begin creating these spaces ourselves, as well as taking some time to learn from past generations and what they had done to really build community and to stave off this loneliness. And since I mentioned learning, I kind of want to put y'all on with one of my favorite ways to learn things with this video sponsor. This section of the video is happily sponsored by Skillshare. I don't know if this is a big secret or not, but I'm a big planner when it comes to making these videos, and I use different tools to help me stay on track and stay organized, with one of those newer tools actually being Notion, which I've been using for a while on a very surface level, but have been wanting to know how to actually optimize and use Notion properly. So I've been turning to Skillshare to learn more about that. If you're unfamiliar, Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and much more. Skillshare can help you take your career, skills, hobbies, passions, or side hustles to the next level. And Skillshare is really great if you've been meaning to learn something new without having to deal with high stakes or high pressure. You're really learning on your own time and at your own pace. Like I said, I've been learning more about how to use Notion from Ali Abdal's Notion Masterclass because I'm really trying to maximize my productivity in 2025, and I'm not playing around. But this definitely isn't the only vertical of classes that Skillshare offers, as they have things like learning paths, which are curated sequential class collections to master a specific skill or competency. Thanks so much Skillshare for sponsoring this video. If you are interested, Skillshare has hooked us up, and the first 500 people to click the link in my description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So make sure to get started today. With that said, let's get back into the video. So let's first really start this conversation by talking about loneliness. It's no secret that we as Gen Z are a very lonely generation. In fact, it doesn't take more than a Google search to see headlines swirling across the internet about Gen Z being the alleged loneliest generation, the loneliness epidemic. Oh my god, Gen Z doesn't have any friends and hates their lives. And while some aspects of that may be a little true, personally speaking, and while I've made a couple of videos in the past also talking about this issue, I do think some of the headlines, of course, are hyperbolic and dramatized, but generally I do agree that loneliness and isolation is a big issue for our generation. Honestly, the feelings of loneliness are up across age demographics, but I feel like for Gen Z specifically, that number is higher. Like Gen Z recently has been found to be the loneliest generation, and the holiday season compounds that loneliness for a lot of young people. Because like I said, it is a reminder, whether you spend the holidays with your family or not, of how different you are from your relatives, the space you hold in your family, the absence of family to spend time with, as well as the absence of friends. And there are a lot of times, especially for older Gen Z that have moved out of the house or don't have good relationships with their parents, that they do spend this holiday season by themselves, which creates a different dynamic than what is typically portrayed as the ideal situation for the holiday season. And I kind of want to take a back step from that really quickly to talk about how this is different from past generations and how older generations do the holidays and festivities. Speaking from experience, it's clear that the older generations, specifically Gen X and baby boomers, really have valued family gatherings for the holidays. Like the stereotypical Hallmark Christmas or holiday season had to have come from somewhere, and that whole image and vibe definitely was passed down through them. And for many of us, that is what we grew up under, at least watch either from firsthand experience, seeing friends experience it, or seeing it in the media that we consumed. With these very intentional family gatherings of either just your immediate family or your extended family as well, coming together, sharing food, having a gift exchange, having everyone stay over at one family member's house, and feeling the holiday spirit with your family members, whether it be your cousins, your siblings, family, friends, and just having that vibe with having holiday meals provided for the family in whatever way and whatever means were possible. And I think the cornerstone of all this stems from that sense of community and family. In the older generation's case, that community was their family or like really close family friends. And there was an emphasis and importance on coming together and having these holiday family traditions or expectations for what would happen every single year. And during that era where boomers and Gen X were really the only adults in the room, that worked for them. And it was something that millennials and Gen Z were able to experience as their children. But what ended up happening is that when it's become our turn, we've done something a little different. We've lost maybe a couple of recipes, which again is seen in this loneliness epidemic. And I'd say one of the major pieces that is contributing to this is that lack of gathering, is that lack of community, because we don't have that, and we don't do that in a large scale for most holiday events or just most events in general. Like unless it's a ticketed event or something that is related to going out, clubbing, or going to a restaurant, it is not super common for Gen Z to, one, really host things anymore. And then on the flip side, it's rare for most people to actually go to things because a lot of people don't have the relationships or the connections with friends to have that be a feasible option to go to all the time. And I think the writing on the wall for me where I started to notice this with Gen Z and younger millennials has to do specifically with a bit of Black culture. And that is the gradual decline of cookout culture. Now, if you do not happen to be Black or have been invited to a cookout, let me explain. The cookout is typically a spring/summer barbecue or just general outdoor event. Oftentimes cookouts happen in the park or in one of your friends or family members' backyards, back when the majority of adults had backyards. I don't have a backyard, and I don't know too many other people around my age that do have those. Basically anywhere with a grill. And cookouts would consist of family, friends, acquaintances, romantic interests, basically anyone who you and your family mess with or are in community with come to the cookout. Hence the phrase, oh, you're invited to the cookout, or they're invited to the cookout. Like the cookout is the place for community. It's a place to share meals, experiences, stories, laughs, and memories with people you've either known for years or met at said cookout. And growing up as a kid, my parents would drag me to cookouts all the time, whether it be family cookouts or ones hosted by my parents' friends. Whether I wanted to or not, I was in spaces where we had to mingle, we had to reconnect. And 5 to 10-year-old me was living, having some burnt hot dogs and Capri Sun. And while that was an experience as me as a kid, for the adults in the room, that is just a way of having community and spending time with people you love, whether that be friends or family. And why I say that there's been a decline in cookout culture is that now that we're the adults, there just are not as many cookouts. Like cookouts aren't really a thing because one, people don't know how to use a grill. I'll clock myself. I don't know how to throw nothing on a grill. I don't even know how to start a grill. My dad tried to teach me, but and year after year, it's becoming less and less common to have events like cookouts, like barbecues, or things that we as Gen Z host for ourselves and for our friends that aren't sit down dinners or brunches or anything that's like restaurant based. Because I feel like that's definitely like the direction that we've gone in, especially for those of us that live in metropolitan areas. Like brunch culture and happy hour culture have sort of taken over what used to be cookouts. I know this is a controversial word, but picnics and other more communal and outdoor activities that also would usually come with, if you weren't the host, a much cheaper price tag because you show up and you eat for free. Or if anything, y'all chip in a little bit for the ingredients and for whatever. And I think that when events like those go away, there is a certain level of community that is lost along with that, because there just aren't as many other low to mid stake social events to help you connect with people in slightly out of your circle, outside of those restaurant or traditional sit down meal-based events. And the reasons behind why cookout culture itself has gone down makes a lot of sense, especially for younger people, because right now it's just not as feasible to do that, because like I alluded to before, oftentimes these things would happen in people's backyard or out in the park. But with fewer and fewer people in Gen Z owning any property to actually have a backyard, and with it just becoming more and more expensive to throw these events, with the price of food, music, drinks, accommodations, and location being more and more expensive, it's understandable why this would be in the decline. And also, again, I think that there is a knowledge gap in like knowing how to throw a cookout to actually get on the grill, because it's really a time commitment, and I don't know too many people that want to slave over a grill for hours on end for a group of people. I don't know. That just might have to be one thing that we'll have to reclaim next summer or something and really be intentional about it, because right now, And like I was saying, cookouts are a very summer holiday based event, like for a 4th of July, like a Memorial Day, like holidays and events of that sort. And while Gen Z by and large does not hold events like that as often, what we do have for winter holidays has been this shift towards friendship-based holidays. Like we love to do a Friendsgiving, a Friendsmas, a Galentine's, Palentine's Day for Valentine's Day.
Apparently, Friendsgiving is something that only millennials do, which is fine. It's fine when millennials do things that Gen Z doesn't do. Like, if you want to still wear ankle boots, that's totally fine. But my real question / concern is, if only millennials are doing Friendsgiving, what's Gen Z doing? Are you just not hanging out with your friends around this time of year? Are you not having a little meal with your friends? Because the main event, the real Thanksgiving, is possibly going to be extremely traumatizing with everybody's families this year. You're telling me you don't want to have like a pre-lovely dinner with your buddies? So if the Gen Z pop can chime in and let me know, that'd be great.
Creating this cultural shift away from typically family-based holiday events to more of a holiday-based in friendship and towards your chosen family. Because for a lot of people, the holidays can be really stressful because you're around family members that you do not morally get along with, generally like, or just are around people that have become essentially strangers to you as you've grown into yourself. With the thinking for a lot of people being like, I'm grateful for a lot of things, but I'm especially grateful for the friends that I do have. So why would I spend time with people that I don't see eye to eye with when I can spend time with people that I've found and really love and can agree with and know that you're going to have a full dinner / holiday experience without breaking into a very awkward, uncomfortable argument or discussion. And I personally love a Friendsgiving. I love a Friendsmas. They're so fun and wholesome to me because they really are just that. Like, it's just like a giant potluck full of people that you have met and grown to love in a space that's just filled with so much gratitude and food. And while the food may not always be as good as if you were at a traditional Thanksgiving or Christmas most of the time. I don't know if you're friends with like Chef Ramsay or Miss Netta or something, but yeah, the food generally is not busting the way that family food would be busting, but you know, trade-offs. And while this is nice for Gen Z, the issue is, again, loneliness epidemic. Not everybody has friends, period, but also friends that would want to do Friendsgiving or are in proximity to do events like that with.
It's the season of Friendsgivings. I just want to say that it is okay that you don't have a Friendsgiving you're invited to. I feel really vulnerable for saying this, but I used to feel really bad about not having a Friendsgiving to go to because of social media. Come November, every weekend I would see people posting about a Friendsgiving that they're going to. That would make me feel so lonely because I didn't have this big, ginormous group of friends. Know that not everyone is going to Friendsgiving and that it is probably just social media. If you really do want a Friendsgiving, maybe consider throwing one yourself.
And this brings me back to, again, the issue of the lack of community for us young people. We don't really have the spaces to hold these events. And because we don't have these spaces to connect with people, to get to know people, and to fill that loneliness void, this loneliness epidemic just gets worse and worse. According to an article from Bon Appetit, in 2003, the first year the Bureau of Labor Statistics asked Americans to keep time use diaries, and people spent an average of 4 hours and 47 minutes a day alone. But in 2023, people spent an average of nearly 7 hours a day alone, with just about 4 hours a week socializing. So over the course of 20 years, this loneliness epidemic has really exploded, with the majority of people spending the majority of their waking hours alone, and fewer hours a week actually socializing with people. Now, what's the solution to all of this? Well, it's complicated. That same article argues that the issues of loneliness and community building, both during the holidays and year-round, requires more than just an individualistic approach, more than just like putting yourself out there. Because you can put yourself out there as much as you can. If there's nobody else around you, what you gonna do? They state that volunteering or having one-off social interactions in meetings isn't enough to create substantive relationships and general change in your social life, and that there should be more structural spaces created to promote and foster that community. Describing this whole act as placemaking, defined as community efforts to improve a place, such as transforming public spaces into social hubs, allowing residents to gain a sense of belonging and ownership, which can foster social connection. And based on the results of the report from this article, placemaking and creating these social hubs / third spaces for people actually does help out a lot, with 72% of respondents reporting that they had created more social connections, and 69% of those said the efforts fostered a greater sense of meaning and belonging when placemaking did actually come into effect. And I think that this article is interesting because, yes, I do believe that we do need more spaces for people to connect, and spaces that are pro-social, meaning like conducive to social interactions and general connection, because the traditional spaces where people would do that in a more recreational way are kind of gone. Like house parties for the majority of people are kind of out because not as many people in our age group own houses. But while we don't have things like houses, we do have apartments, and I think kind of a counter to having space to actually connect and have and host these sort of events is, again, coming back to that whole cookout and barbecue culture, where people just aren't going out of their way to have these sort of events. Like having a barbecue or having some event like that is very entry level, because barbecue spaces and general grill spaces are available in some apartment buildings, in public parks, and in other recreational areas. But these places still, by and large, aren't drawing in people to actually use them. Well, I would say drawing in Gen Z to actually use them as a way to socialize and build that community. In an Essence article investigating what happened to cookout culture, the author writes that the person that they interviewed noticed that those around them don't take advantage of shared outdoor amenities to host cookouts, quoting them saying that, "I've had the opportunity to reimagine cookout culture in a way that blends tradition with modern urban living." He says, "While I enjoy hosting guests in my apartment, I also love utilizing the communal outdoor spaces in the balcony and courtyard. These amenities are great selling points for downtown living, yet I notice many residents don't take advantage of them." And yeah, I do have to say that this does really track with some of the issues when it comes to Gen Z loneliness. Like, we as the new adults need to become more comfortable with hosting things. We need to be more comfortable with putting on the things that we'd like to see and like to experience for ourselves. Like the age of having these really elaborate Christmases, these really elaborate Thanksgivings, or these spaces where you're around people that you care about and you love now fall on the shoulders of us. Like, we need to be the ones that are creating that. And the difficult part of navigating all that is the pressure and struggle of finding those people that you actually want to be in community with. And I don't really know what a generalized solution for that would be, because it kind of does seem a little cyclical. Like, yeah, sure, I love to throw a Friendsgiving, I love to throw a Friendsmas, but I need friends for that. And it's really hard to make friends as an adult because of the lack of their places, because of lack of time, because of exhaustion, because going out and having all these experiences is really expensive right now. Like, I get it. Like, it's tough to be a young adult right now, and it really sucks to feel lonely and feel so alone, especially during this holiday season where everyone's supposed to be feeling happy, cheery, and full of love. So yeah, I don't really have a solution for this video. This is something that I've been thinking about and wanted to talk about and shed some light on. Again, we really just need to be better community members for each other and know what it means to be in community with people, and consistently choose to put ourselves out there and to form those connections, even though I know it's very tiring, it's very exhausting, and a lot of times it can feel not super fruitful. But once you find those people, it becomes so worth it. Like, if you're watching right now and you don't feel like you're really close to your family or don't have a great relationship with your family, just know that your chosen family is out there. And once you find them and are able to find love and community with them, I promise the pursuit and the journey to get there will be all the worth it. But yeah, y'all, that's gonna be it for this video. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think about the Gen Z holiday loneliness epidemic? And do you think we as a generation are losing recipes to other social gatherings? Let me know your thoughts all in the comments below. Again, if you're new, then definitely subscribe, leave a like, and follow my socials at Imurgency on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Don't forget to click link in my description to get started with Skillshare. But other than that, y'all, I've been Imurgency, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.